Doing some more work on my Duramax swapped Yukon XL Denali that's on a 2500 frame. And I'll go over the wiring changes I had to make this work. So it's an LLY and Allison out of an 04. I'm using the donor's transfer case, of course, because I'm not going to try to adapt an all-wheel drive transfer case to this. So because this was a 6-liter truck, I've done this twice. I put LLYs in 6-liter trucks. There's really only 2 wires you have to change, or add anyway, to make this swap work. You need a yellow wire. I can't remember if it's connector C100 or C102. There's a yellow wire that goes to the splice pack under the dash for the communication lines. It's the Allison communication wire. And there's a blue wire that goes to the gauge cluster for the wait to start light. So that's really all I got to do to make this thing run and drive. But to make the 4-wheel drive work, I went and got a harness out of a donor truck at the junkyard. I didn't want to pull the dash out of my donor. So I took the 4x4 switch, the 4x4 module, and the connectors. I stripped everything out of that harness, depinned it from, there's 2 wires I think that went into here, this fuse box, and then this junction box down here, there's one that plugs into there. So I've got to plug all that stuff in. I routed all this and repinned the connectors. I need to tuck this up under the dash. So to make the 4-wheel drive work, I need to ground this wire. There's a green and white wire that needs to go to the communication wire splice pack that's under here. There's a gray wire. So here's the blue one I added for the wait to start light. There's supposed to be a gray wire on A6 for the 4x4 light, which I didn't think this would have because it was all-wheel drive. There's already gray wire there. So I'll see if the other end is in the splice pack where it needs to be, and then I won't have to run that wire. So let's see, I've got the blue wire for the wait to start light. This is the Allison communication wire, it needs to go into that splice pack. And then like that one goes under here. That one goes there as well, and then there's one that goes up here. And then I can tuck all that up. And I'm pretty sure the 4x4 should work fine without throwing any kind of warning light on the dash. The other hurdle with this swap is because this was a Denali and had vehicle stability. I couldn't use that ABS module because there's a torque request input from the PCM, which the Allison or the LLY PCM does not put out. So, and I don't want stability anyway. I don't even want ABS, but you can't really eliminate it completely. So what I did, I took the ABS module. This is a 2000 Yukon XL 2500 frame. So it only has one rear brake line. So I took the ABS module from the donor Duramax. It bolted right in, hooked up to the lines, right? I've done this on another one also. So I put that in and used the chassis harness from the donor, which is pretty much the same for all the lighting, and then the fuel level sending unit. I'm not using the rear fuel level sending unit that's on this 2500 chassis. So as far as the ABS goes, so I've got the crew cab truck's ABS module plugged in. You know, that harness ran up here and plugged in. And I'm pretty certain that I'm hoping that won't throw any codes for like the warning message on the dash for vehicle stability system. Because looking at the diagrams, it looks like as long as there's no trouble code signal coming out of the ABS module, it shouldn't throw any warning lights. Because my goal here is to have this running and driving Duramax swapped, 4x4 working, ABS working, no warning lights on the dash whatsoever, gauge or gas gauge working properly, rear HVAC should be working properly, everything should be working like it should, running and driving Duramax swapped. But if you're trying to do the same thing, that's what I had to do with the 4x4 wiring and the other couple of wires. The last one of these I did was a 2001 body, and I used an 06 donor. So because a Suburban is basically a crew cab truck, just with more sheet metal on the back and a rear HVAC system, I ripped everything out of that one, swapped in all the wiring, the seats, the dash, door panels, everything from the 06 crew cab donor to make that one work. So I haven't had to do all of this on my last one. What I had to do on that one to make everything work was, because it was a crew cab truck wiring system, I had to run power to the rear HVAC in the back, which was easy. And then I tied the rear hatch lock into the driver's passenger door, which I think is what they do on these anyway. Just put it in parallel so it'll lock and unlock the hatch. I never did wire up the rear wiper because I don't care about the rear wiper anyway. But that's about it for this wiring on this. I need to get all this buttoned up and get some fluids in it. And I'm gonna have to raise the bumper. I put a tapered body lift on this, so it's not lifted at all in the back. It's 2 inches in the front, which levels the body out. Hopefully that'll look pretty good. If I don't like how tall it is, I'll have to lower the whole thing a little bit. Other than that, I need to get the drive shaft shortened, and I'm gonna have to figure out how I want to deal with teeing into the rear AC line. On the last one, I just somehow managed to wrap this hose around that has the T. I don't even know how. It was kind of a mess, but... And then I welded these two together, like I cut them off here and welded them together. I don't want to do that on this, so I'm going to see what other options I have to try to tee into this so the rear AC works.